Hey y'all, hey, it's JJ Conway. Welcome to Building Wealth Together, where our goal is to help you walk in abundance and leave a legacy. It's Mindset Monday, where we take the best teachings on mindset, motivation, and leadership and apply them to your life. This helps you get past the past and grow forward into abundance. Let's get into it. All right. Welcome to Building Wealth Together, y'all. What we're going to do for the next 3 Mindset Mondays is we're going to put together a teaching that I did on persistence. You know, a lot of times I talk about the real reasons that our hard work hasn't paid off. And most of the time I talk about mindset. Mindset is definitely the key, especially when it comes to those limiting beliefs. But there's another aspect of mindset that we don't like to talk about a lot because, quite frankly, it doesn't sell. Nobody likes to sell hard work, determination, persistence, and willpower, right? Now, all those things are a lot easier when we have the right mindset, but let's talk a little bit today about the power of persistence. Hey everybody, it's JJ Conway. You can find me on the web at jjconway.org. You can also find me on the web at buildingwealthtogether.com. While we are waiting for everyone to get on the line, I have a few announcements. First of all, we're getting into that summer season where people are really evaluating what they've been doing all year and how they can earn some extra money. Maybe you need some extra money for summer travel or other things like that. Well, did you know that we have an affiliate program for our Building Wealth Together school? That's right. If you go to the homepage, buildingwealthtogether.com, and you go to the affiliate program, there's a way to find out how to earn money by telling people about my courses. And so when you tell your friends about the amazing classes, you send them the special link, you'll earn 50% of their course fee. This is how I create a pathway for people who aren't able to afford my classes when they first start working with me. All right. Also, another fantastic thing that I'm super, super excited about. Next weekend, we have a special event, a Juneteenth generational empowerment event. Oh, I'm so excited. Let me see if I can bring the slide up for you here. Let's see. I thought I had it ready. And it is escaping me. Well, if it doesn't show up in the next 2 seconds, then we're going to go ahead and call it a day. But let me see if I can bring it up. We're going to be talking about economic empowerment because generational empowerment. For those of you on Clubhouse, you can't see the screen, but you can go on my Facebook channel, facebook.com/drjj Conway. And what we're going to be doing for Juneteenth, it's our normal scheduled Building Wealth Together meeting. Every third Saturday, we do 2 meetings. We do an entrepreneurship or life empowerment kind of meeting. That's our Building Wealth Together meeting at 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern. Then we follow that with the DART method of real estate investing, which is my method of real estate investing, at 9 a.m. Central. And since it's Juneteenth, we are expanding the programming to include a real talk panel. So first, we're going to talk at 8 Central, the hidden secret of generational wealth. And then I'm going to roll into Creative Financing 101, which talks about how to acquire land without taking on more credit. Okay, so one of the problems that is an issue for generational wealth is that the wealth is being siphoned out of Black and brown communities across the United States. And so this talk will help educate in an avenue to get that wealth back. All right. So we definitely want you to participate in that. And then we're going to roll into, I've blocked 2 hours, but it's going to go as short or as long as we've got people wanting to talk, a panel about what can be done to economically empower, to emotionally empower, to generationally empower people as we celebrate Juneteenth. All right. So I'm super, super excited about that. All right. And now let's get into today's lesson for tonight. Today's lesson we're talking about is why your hard work hasn't paid off. So many of you have been working so hard, burning the candle at both ends, siphoning time away from your families, sneaking time away from your job, which I don't actually recommend, but you're using every waking moment to do what you got to do to get this business off the ground or do something to elevate your family. And no matter how hard you work, it just seems like it's never enough. But I want to tell you today, there's a very defined science of thought and mindset. And when I got it, it made all the difference. It shifted me from working so hard and getting nowhere to working less and having more time for my family and more time to do the things that made my heart sing. And one of those keys that I'm going to give to you today is persistence. Oh, let me tell you, the first time I read Think and Grow Rich, I didn't think much about the topic, the chapter on persistence. Okay. I was persistent in everything that I did, right? And then I taught it in my church, and I didn't really teach much on persistence. I mean, we covered it. It was kind of like the chapter on sex transmutation. We covered it because it was in the book. But I didn't really teach on it much because I mistakenly assumed that everyone was like me, gung-ho about it or you wouldn't be in it, right? Well, that was back when I didn't have any kids. That was back before, I had all the responsibilities. That's before I attained any rank in the Air Force, before I became a mom and entrepreneur. I mean, I really was, what do they call that? Double income, no kids, no responsibilities, nothing but yourselves, right? Like, so I was like, whatever. Well, then I took the course from one of my mentors a couple years ago, and he had me read the persistence chapter every day for 14 days. And I'm like, I got this. I teach this class in my church sometimes. And I think back on it, I think there was a couple of reasons that he did that. I think the first thing was that he wanted to prove to me what persistence really was, right? And put me to the test of that persistence. And I think most people, we don't really want to identify as procrastinator. I mean, we joke about it sometimes, but none of us really wants to walk into a room of, 7 and 8 figure earning people and say, oh yeah, hey, I'm here. I want you to help me grow my business, but I'm a procrastinator, right? And I think when your kids or your spouse wants you to do something for them, I don't think they want to hear, I'll get to it eventually next week, maybe never, right? And, none of us really, really deep down want to be that person. And certainly most of us do want to identify as a persister, right? Like, I'm persistent. I get things done. I do what I'm supposed to do. I take care of business. I mean, that's what we want. And it's funny because people will argue with me like, oh, no. I'm transparent. I'm genuine. I'm honest. And I'll be like, I've seen your Facebook. It's like, okay, this is a bad example. I know it's a bad example. I promise it won't be as bad as the shower in the bathroom example from the last time I taught. But this is a very poignant example. Okay, how many times have you sent in a headshot to somebody and you take the picture from like up here, right? Because it slims you out and all that, and it gives you right the angle. And I had somebody, a speaker for one of my events, and I just used one of her Facebook pictures that looked really nice. And she's like, oh, well, you can't use that picture. And I was really surprised because a day or two before, she had made a huge argument by, it doesn't matter what size you are. We all have value. It doesn't matter what size you are. Anybody can succeed as a speaker. And she was responding to somebody who was training us as speakers that if you want to do better in the business world, you have to make a commitment to fitness. And I was like, well, I don't really want to hear that because I'm tired of hearing that. I've always been more fit than all the thin people at work. But, I understand what he's saying. And she was like, oh, no. I do just fine the way I am. But she wouldn't let me put a picture of her on the website that made her look like she was. I had to use this 10 years old, slimmer, taken from the right angle picture. So we all say we all say we want to be this and this and this and this, but deep down inside, we got to understand who we really are. And if you're telling me today that you're persistent, well, good, because all you got to do is prove it. You got to prove it. Take 10 minutes a day and read the chapter on persistence. I'll even give it to you at no charge. All right. We'll see how persistent you really are, right? This is what my mentor said to me. We'll see how persistent you really are. And I discovered it was a lot harder than I thought it was. Oh, and it really isn't about reading the content. It really isn't about what you're reading. It's about being able to give yourself a command and follow through with it. A lot of us have been lying to ourselves every single day of our lives. And I've talked about this in previous classes, but I really want a handle on this today because this is one of the reasons our hard work isn't paying off. See, we haven't been able to give ourselves a command and actually follow it. And it is a sort of discipline, but it's also a mindset of valuing yourself and valuing your word and valuing your word to yourself. Because how many of us have said, okay, tomorrow I'm not going to eat any sugar, and then we do? How many of us have said, tomorrow I'm going to work out first thing in the morning, and we don't? How many of us have said, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do devotion before everybody else wakes up, and that alarm goes off, and what do? Snooze, 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 right? So when we think of persistence, certainly our conscious awareness level of self-discipline has to be at a fairly high level if we're going to be persistent, because you're giving yourself a command. And most of us, we're used to giving ourselves a command and then doing what we want to do anyway. The hardest person to lead is ourselves. So when my mentor told me to do that and read that chapter every day for 14 days, I think he was also putting me to the test. Like, how coachable are you really? Because you say to yourself, read it every day. Well, I wonder what he means by that. I mean, it certainly can't mean read it every day. I mean, come on, over the break, Christmas, or I think when I was doing it, we were with John Maxwell in Costa Rica. So we were all getting ready to leave for this trip. And I'm like, surely he doesn't want me to read this during the trip. Like, he knows we're all going on this trip, right? And you can really fill in the blank. Oh, well, surely the weekend, I'm going to have my kids and family, Christmas, spring break. I mean, he probably means most days. I mean, just, any intent, think about it. It's probably good enough, right? He probably means Monday through Friday, or most work days, or maybe 3 times a week, right? So so I've given this assignment to people to learn what I've learned. Because sometimes we don't realize that we are in these cycles and we think we're doing a thing consistently, but we're actually not. I will tell on myself with another example. Many of you remember how we've been doing the daily proverbs. Every morning I would pull another proverb. And I almost wish I hadn't started with proverbs, because very few proverbs are actually positive and uplifting and encouraging, right? Like, most of them are like, you fool, you're foolish for this and you're foolish for that. Anyway, I was doing them every day, and I haven't done them in like 2 weeks because school's been out for 2 weeks. And somebody brought it up. I don't remember who, but somebody brought it up. And I thought, oh, no, I always do them. I always do them every morning with the cubby before he goes to school. Well, he hasn't been going to school. And then I realized when I looked at my calendar where I marked down which one I did, I never did a daily thought during the weekends. And I never did a daily thought during the breaks, like spring break or Christmas break. I rarely did one. And I was like, oh, I wasn't consistent with that. I was consistent with that during the schedule, the school day schedule. That was part of our morning routine. Everybody else would leave at 6:30, and me and Cubby would snuggle, and we would do the scriptures, and I would read the book of Proverbs for the day, and then we would make the thing, and he would get to choose the color. Like, he had to choose his color and his filters. And I keep, for those of you who are watching online, I'm looking over at him because he's snuggled up in the snuggle chair watching me teach. I love the fact that he's listening to me teach as he prepares for bed, because I want all of this juicy goodness to get into his little head before he grows up to be me and needs to pay somebody else to put it in there. But I thought I was being consistent, and I was being consistent according to the schedule, but I was not being consistent to what the public sees. And some of us have been working so hard when we don't realize that we're not showing up consistent and persistent. So I think excuse me. I think another reason, another purpose for reading this is that it's an identifier of your belief system, your capital B, capital S belief system, the excuses that we make up, the reasons why. I know many people are like, okay, so what I'm going to do is, and then they follow Brian Tracy, and I'm going to eat that frog first thing in the morning. I'm going to read that chapter when I wake up. Well, maybe it's not a good morning. Maybe they didn't sleep well that night. So I'm going to get some coffee. Let me check some emails. I'll do it in the afternoon. And then the afternoon gets away from them, right? And then they're going to do it in the evening. And by the time they go to bed, they got a scratchy throat. I got a busy day tomorrow. And then whatever, you miss it. And then you know what they say? Not my fault. It was all these other things. And it's a similar thing to those of you who are watching today on the various channels that we have this going, that are in the ministry. You find the same thing when you try to direct your people and encourage them to study every day and pray every day. There's always something that comes up. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Absolutely, it's not your fault. You're right. None of that is your fault. Some of you already know what I'm going to say because you have been listening to these classes long enough. It's not your fault, but it's all your responsibility. Some people get it done and some people don't. It's the story you tell yourself. And guess what? The people who get it done, you know what we call them? Persistent. Yeah, that's what persistence is. Because the bottom line is you can find 10 or 20 minutes a day, can't you? If it's important to you. And you had to. You could find 10 or 20 minutes a day to do it. I hate to think it would be during the time that I'm teaching because I really like an audience, but you can find the time. It's like my 10-10-10. No matter what I try to do, 10 minutes of prayer, 10 minutes of Bible study, 10 minutes of exercise every day. And the morning is the best time for me because my days really do escape me. And the next thing I know, I'm falling asleep at my computer desk, exhausted, right? Do you know how hard it is to consistently get that 10-10-10 in every day? It's a little more than 10 minutes. It's just 10 minutes. It's just you're in the bathroom for longer than 10 minutes. You fast forward through commercials longer than 10 minutes. You're on Facebook longer than 10 minutes. Now, honestly, today, I do try to do a lot more. I try to get to be about an hour, at least minimum of 30 minutes for prayer and all that. But sometimes I'm traveling and it really is 10-10-10. I've been doing that since I published. Oh, I already put it away. I've been doing that since I published Overcoming Inertia in 2012, 2013. That's when I put that book out. So that's like 9 years ago. 9 years I've been doing 10-10-10. I wrote the book on 10-10-10. And if I allow myself to get complacent, all the flesh just takes over. And all of a sudden, I'm not doing anything anymore. And I wrote the book on it. You can make every excuse in the world why you can't do your 10-10-10. But let me tell you what the Spirit told me in prayer. Some of you already know this because you've been told the same thing. Spirit told me you'd have a lot of time if you get off Facebook. If you'd stop surfing the web, if you unloaded Candy Crush off your phone, yes, that's how long ago this was. And the one that hurt me the most, y'all, was not just take the Candy Crush off my phone, but take it off the tablet, take it off my Facebook games. I had no idea how much time and money I was spending on that little free game until the Spirit told me to quit. So the bottom line is you can find 10 or 20 minutes a day to achieve your dream, can't you? If it's important to you, if you had to find 10 or 20 minutes a day, I don't know how you can't. I don't know how you can't find 10 minutes. I don't know how you couldn't. And it doesn't matter what time you get up. You can set your alarm 10 minutes earlier and create some space. Or you could look at all the things you do in the day. I really believe that we have been fully resourced to do all that God has called us to do. And when my days get overrun that I can't get everything done, I have to draw back and look at my schedule, because chances are I have allowed creep to come in and people to get on my calendar that ought not get on my calendar, or I have failed to protect some time that I needed with the family or others to smooth things over. There's usually a reason behind it. Somebody once said, if you're overwhelmed, you are under purposed. So we can create some space and we can go to bed 10 minutes later. If you wanted to, you would be able to find the time. Now, one of the things I do talk about in my Overcome Inertia book, which I wish I hadn't put away before I started teaching tonight, it's already in the box. I talked about those days when I was a single mom trying to recover from divorce, $845,000 of debt, calling the bank, calling the credit cards, explaining that I can't pay this, explaining that I can't pay that. Will you work with me? As an Air Force major, I can't pay this, I can't pay that. I remember those days, and I thought about, what can I do to earn extra money? I was doing Discovery Toys, Avon, Mary Kay. My Precious and Pleasant boutique was still operation back then. Now we only do twice a year sales, but back then it was a full service boutique. I mean, I was doing every hustle I could think of, and I was picking, and I was just like, I don't have any more time. Plus, I was a minister, and look, y'all, this is gonna sound vain and arrogant, and I don't know a nice way to say it, but being a minister who had just gotten a divorce, there was no way I was not showing up to church. Even if I had to go make money, I was going to be at that church, because you weren't going to say I was backsliding. So I probably could have used some church time to make some money and create some space, but I wasn't about to do that, because you weren't about to talk about me. I mean, that's the wrong mindset, because people talk about you anyway. But I didn't know that back then. Like, I was trying so hard to prove myself to people that didn't matter, and many of us are doing that. Like, many of us who are overwhelmed right now, I wasn't going to talk about this tonight, but maybe somebody identifies with that. Many of us who are overwhelmed right now, part of the problem is we are busting buns to prove ourselves to people who A, don't care, B, ain't never gonna care, and C, really don't matter in the great scheme of things. Just saying. All right. And so I remember those days, and I remember when people would say, "Oh, just get your stuff done when the kids go to bed, or just wake up an hour early." And I would think to myself, I already get up at 4:30 in the morning. How do you want me to get up any earlier? And look, both my boys are ADHD. When Philly Bob PK, you can find him on YouTube, Philly Bob PK. All right. You can, when he was 4-5 years old, if I put him to bed any earlier than 10:30, he would be up earlier than 4:30. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't see how I could do it as a single mom, especially. And the one I got now, we put him to bed at 8:30, but I don't think he falls asleep till 10. And then he's up at 5:30. So 5:30, 6 o'clock. So I just drew the energetic kids, right? Like, I didn't draw the kids that go to bed at 7 and you got all the date night time and all the entrepreneur time. Like, I didn't have that life. Maybe some of you watching today, you hear all the things that other people say, and you didn't have that life either. Okay. And so I understand how it feels when somebody tells you, just take 10 minutes, take 10 minutes more for your dream. But I'm going to tell you what the Spirit spoke to me during that time. The Spirit spoke to me and said, the 10 minutes you can give me now. And this was me. I was kind of struggling. I wasn't struggling with my faith. I was struggling with my expression of faith and my calling in the ministry. Okay. Because I had a lot of opposition about being a minister, and now I'm divorced. Okay. So I had struggles there. I never struggled with my thought that God was God and Jesus was Jesus and the Holy Spirit. I never struggled with that. But sometimes our other struggles can lead us to a spiritual struggle. Okay. And so when I was praying about this, what the Spirit told me was, the 10 minutes I can give the Lord now is equivalent to the hours that I used to be able to give the Lord back in the day, back when I was praying for 3 hours a day and studying my Bible for 2 or 3 hours a day and being mom and wife and head trustee. Okay. And so I remember that comfort. But I'm telling you right now, you can carve out 10 minutes a day for your dream. Whatever it is, whether it's reading the persistence chapter because you don't know where else to start, whether it's reading extra scriptures, you can carve out an extra 10 minutes a day for your dream. I promise you, you can. I promise you can. You know why I know you can? Because if you couldn't, you wouldn't be watching me. If you couldn't carve it out, you would have been sent a different way. I really believe that. Okay. It really goes back. Who was it? Leland who said, I really should have wrote these quotes down. Like I have these quotes, but I should have wrote them down. You don't have to till you want to, and then you don't have to anymore. Anybody know who said that quote? You don't have to until you want to, and then you don't have to anymore. All right. I hope you enjoyed that. Come back next week for part 2 of this series. And if you haven't already checked out the show notes, you can find the links to both the Persistence Challenge, jjclink.com/persist, as well as a great discount code podcast to take 50% off of my time-tested success strategies course, which you can get at jjclink.com/TTSS for time-tested success strategies. Well, that's going to wrap us up for today. I'm JJ Conway. Thank you for listening. Y'all take care and be blessed. Love the podcast? Be sure to like, subscribe, and forward to 3 friends. You can ask a question or take a life-changing class at buildingwealthtogether.com. Now, go walk in abundance and leave a legacy.